I remember when I was about 6 years old. I can remember July of 1969. I remember hearing the word moon right around that time. July of 1969, 1970, 71, 72, as I was growing up, 73. I heard the word moon, but in 69, I was too young to understand. As I got older, I discovered what that was. We landed on the moon. Well, the only thing I wish I'd been old enough to fully understand it. I can remember when it was on TV. Yeah, I can remember seeing the rocket on the launch pad in Florida. I can remember it on TV, but I was too young to understand it. And I wish I'd been old enough to get into that moment. But I'm 6 years old, and I'm too busy playing with my plastic soldiers or plastic hot wheels. I just wish I'd been a little older, 8, 9 years old, 10 years old. Because now I've watched it on YouTube. Well, I started crying a little bit because it reminds me when I watch the launch of Apollo 11, it reminds me of my childhood because I was 6 years old playing with my toys when Apollo 11 launched for the moon. I was too young then to cry because I did not understand. Yesterday, I started crying. Well, the funny thing about it all, I started reading the comments below the video I was watching of the launch, Apollo 11 launch of July 1969. And below in the comments, other people was crying. Yeah, I was literally crying because it was such a moment in history, and I was alive. It reminded me of my childhood, and here I am crying. And I start looking down and reading the other comments, and they're crying. People that's watching it. As one comment said, I'm a certain age, and 55 years later, he said, I'm still crying again. He was a little older than me. I think he said he's like 65, 66. And so he was 9 or 10 at the time. He remembers it better than I do. But it's emotional watching Apollo 11 take off, those powerful engines. And just think, as I'm watching that in Florida from July 1969. Here in Ohio, at that same moment, I was playing with my toys. And I was not quite old enough to be in school yet. I always have trouble bringing out the two O's And I've always pronounced school short. I don't know why. I've always had a habit of not bringing out the two O's in the spelling of school. Why can't I get in the habit of saying school the long way? Anyway, see, I didn't start first grade until August. So that launch was a month before I started school. So yes, I was home playing with my toys. And that started me crying. My childhood. As I watch the launch of July 1969, at that same moment, I was 6 years old playing with my toys. Now, if that doesn't make you cry, I don't know what will. I literally had tears going down my cheeks. Literally. Because I was a little boy. As I'm watching this, little did I know when I was playing with my toys at 6 years old, 55 years later, I'd be watching a launch again on YouTube. Little did I know at 6 years old what the future would hold. 55 years later, I'm still crying like a little boy. Yeah, yesterday, people in the library walking past me wonder why a 61-year-old guy is crying. Then they see what I see on. Then they glance and see I'm watching that launch of Apollo 11, and I think they understand. I literally had tears going down my cheeks because it reminded me of my childhood.